Hello! Welcome everyone. How's it going? So today I do not have my Skull iced coffee mug, but instead I have my State Department mug, which I got from my friend for my birthday. So we're drinking out of that this morning. We're drinking warm coffee because it is cold outside. It is actually autumn. It is actually fall. It's brisk. It's rainy, it's stormy, and I am loving it. A lot of people are upset that it is so cloudy outside, but not me. I'm loving it. So, anyways, hi everyone, welcome. So, we are going to start off as per usual with a non-spoiler review for any folks who are curious about the book in question being Mixed Signals by B K Borison. So any folks who are curious, who want some general thoughts, who haven't started the book yet, who are interested in starting it, we're gonna talk some non-spoiler things and some non-spoiler things about the entire Lovelight Farms series. Since these books kind of take place in the same universe, they don't have to be read in order, or they don't have to all be read to still enjoy any of the three stories separately. So if one of them speaks more to you than the other one, go for it, go crazy. But if anyone's curious about overall thoughts, let's chat, let's talk. So let's grab them. Hello. Okay, so we've got all three here. So these were the three that we read this month. And let's start off specifically with Mixed Signals, which we just read this past week. This is personally my favorite one of the bunch. I just noticed I sped through this one quite a bit faster than the other ones. I love the other two. I technically rated them all the same rating. They're all 4 stars for me. And they technically were 5 stars last year, but I just noticed some more things that kind of more stood out to me on this read around. But either way, 4 stars is an amazing book. Love it. Fantastic. It's just 5 or 4. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. They're like a 4.5. This time they just didn't meet the 5 for me. But anyways, I really enjoyed this one. I just like the characters of Mixed Signals more than the other two, and I find the romance a little bit more believable, and the obstacle isn't as, I don't know, jarring. Like sometimes the fake dating obstacles they just feel like a little too overdone where you're like, come on, guys. Come on, let's get to the point. But with this one, and we'll talk about, this is one of my first questions for the discussion later. We'll talk about, is it fake dating or not? We'll leave that for in just a second. But forgot to switch the things. Okay. But in terms of the story, I just think it's so like cozy and comforting. I mean, I love baked goods. Did that impact my reading of it? Yes. Yes, it most certainly did. And also just both of the main characters are just so much more like personality wise up my alley that I just feel a lot more connected with them and with their romance. So yeah, and I just think it's so cute, and there's so many like little quotes that I kept noticing and pulling out from it, and I just really enjoyed it. So yeah, so that's that on this. Overall, for the series, I mean, I recommend these to people constantly. There's a reason why we started off by reading this entire series for the kickoff of the Romantics Book Club. It's because I love this series. It's one of my favorites. It's just so wholesome and sweet, and I love the small town community vibes, and I just love it overall. So, yeah. Overall, I'm going to always keep recommending this series, and I can't wait to read the 4th one next year. I keep forgetting what month it's coming out. It's either April, May, or June. Somewhere in there. Yeah. So let's get into the discussion questions. Okay. So first off, we have, is it fake dating or not? Is that kind of the obstacle? Because yes, like technically, is it? I don't know. Let me know what you think, because it's in that weird middle zone where it's like practice dating, which is a little funky, a little weird, but they are like kind of technically actually dating. It's not like they're faking it for an audience, right? It's not like in the first one where it's very much fake dating that could possibly be something more. I don't know. I don't know. I can't fully push myself to put it in the category of fake dating. Let me know if you have another category of like romance tropes where it would fit in more, because I just can't ever remember all of the different romance tropes. Like, it's just not there. Then let's touch on our thoughts for the choices of the dates. So, especially from Caleb's perspective, Caleb picks out the first, what is it, 2 or 3 dates, and like the locations and what they're planning on doing. And honestly, I think they're like really cute ideas, especially because he specifically matches them to Layla's like interests and personality, and they're all like really fun, and they all like go slightly off kilter, slightly, go poorly. But that's what makes them so much cuter and so much fun, especially because how much Layla loves the dates, and Caleb's just like so worried. And this sweet cinnamon roll of a human, he's just so worried about giving off the wrong impression or being too much. And I'm like, Caleb, no, everything's gonna be fine. You're doing great, sweetie. Yeah. So I think I would say that the skating rink is my favorite of the like original like planned dates, but also picnic. I mean, and I think this one takes place in summer. They all technically take place in a different season. So I think this one is summer. And yeah, just a summer picnic by the pond. I mean, that one didn't really go as planned either. None of them did. None of the dates went as planned, which is beautiful and magical, and I love it. But yeah. Let me know if you had a different favorite one. Okay, but the beach was good too. That was also a picnic. Yeah. Yeah, let me know what yours are. Okay. Books messaging. So there were a lot of like different messages throughout the book, all of them which I really appreciated and I thought played off really well in the story. I have a couple quotes here I will read off. Not exact quotes, but general ones. So when Caleb, this is like in chapter 2, it's already like kicking off the book to a good start where you already are feeling like enthralled. Anyways, so the quote is, "You deserve more than crumbs, you deserve the whole cake," which of course it's playing into the whole baking, baked goods, pastry, sweet treats theme, but also that's just such a good quote. Like, you deserve more than crumbs, you deserve the whole cake. Like, this just is so well written. Then we also have, I don't remember who says this one. This is more towards the middle of the book. You haven't found, like, it, the theme of it is you haven't found the right puzzle piece. Like, you might be like trying the wrong missing pieces. In terms of Layla's past history with poorly gone dates and how much she keeps trying to put herself out there, and it just hasn't been working. Yeah, so that one really hit home, and I think that one is well represented throughout the story. And then the last one, of course, is this theme that keeps coming up for Caleb, which is being too much for people. And it's hard to say, like, I think that is mostly just like an anxiety, insecurity thing going on in his head, because he doesn't seem like he's too much. I mean, obviously, that's just like a thing people say sometimes when they're being mean, or some people have like, internal anxiety going on. And I don't know if there actually is anything like being too much. I think that's just kind of like a mean thing that people say, or an insecure thing that people might be thinking. But I didn't see that come across in the story at all. I mean, sweet bean, like, he's just out here doing his best. Okay, there were so many themes of there were so many themes of family, of like these dynamics of very big families versus smaller families, and these really like chaotic, beautiful amalgamations of these huge families, and then contrasted with other characters who either had some family issues going on or had smaller families or didn't have family present in their lives. And I noticed that throughout all three of the books, and it kept on being like this parallel, or maybe not a parallel, but what's the word when it's opposites? Not perpendicular. You know what I mean. Where it was like contrasting between the two love interests. So in this one, Caleb has this huge family who's taking care of him and always showing up and cooking and all of this like beautiful chaos happening around him constantly. And Layla briefly mentions her family. She has some sisters, but her parents and her sisters and her family just haven't really understood her life choices, haven't really tried to support her in her decision to become a baker instead of an engineer and all these things. So I noticed that there was just a lot of these contrasting family dynamics, which was interesting. And I just loved all of the like huge family scenes of the chaos of all of the cousins and the siblings and the parents and the grandparents and everyone just like cooking and chaos happening all at once. I just love that. It was beautiful. Okay, question number 5, obstacle. So, what do we think that the obstacle is in the story? So, what I've noticed in a lot of more recent romances, current romances, is that the obstacle becomes a lot less person versus person, person versus what are the other ones? I did a writing degree and I can't remember them. There's like this classic list of I think 6 obstacles in stories: man versus man, man versus God, man versus self, man versus nature. I think there's more. Anyways, what I've noticed in romance books recently is a lot of them are like person versus self, where it's either an insecurity or like a lack of confidence or like a fear or lack of trusting oneself. That is overwhelmingly a large part of obstacles in a lot of the more recent romances. Sometimes there's still ones of no, I think that's most of them. Right? Let me know if you think of a different one because I no, that's most of them. That's most of them. There's still like the classic ones where it's like 2 different jobs, separating lovers, all of that. So, what I think the main obstacle of this one is primarily like not trusting oneself and like Layla not being able to trust herself to make the right choices in love because she's just had so many duds, so many like poorly gone dates and just gone out with so many people who were not nice, who were not respectful, and she doesn't trust herself anymore in that. And then also the fear of something going wrong and something like perpetually kind of changing her life and then her not being able to go back. Yeah. And then also confidence on like Caleb's side. So those are the main ones that I noticed. Let me know if you noticed any other ones or if you completely disagree, if this is more of like a Romeo Juliet Capulet situation. Who knows? Who knows? Is the town keeping them apart? Could be, could be. Let's see, question number 6. Okay, so this is a little touch on all 3 of the books, but like it's not really a spoiler if you haven't read the other books, you know? So specifically in this one and in the other ones, there has been a theme of engagements happening in the epilogues. which I know we briefly discussed on our Fable. So, which if you haven't joined the Fable, feel free to click down below and join. So all three of these books had engagements happening in like an epilogue or a bonus chapter or just the final chapter of the story. What do we think about that? How do we feel about that? I think it's a bit overkill personally for like every romance book to include an engagement. Sometimes I think it's really fun and exciting, and I think it's really nice to see how like these characters would have handled an engagement, how they would have popped the question, if you will. And sometimes I think it's a little bit much to include it in every single romance book, which just like it happening in all three was pretty consistent. And also, I think the timelines that authors choose for when the engagement happens is really interesting. So for this one, it happened, I think it was exactly like 2 years for all three of them. I don't know if I'm remembering that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that all three of them had an engagement happen in the epilogue 2 years after the final chapter, which like it's hard to really guess on timelines because timelines are so specific to individuals and to couples and to specific dynamics. So I think it's interesting that all three of them had it happen within 2 years. Do you think that's fast? Do you think that's slow? Do you think it should have been different for each couple based off of like how their relationship went? Let me know in the comments. Question number 7. Okay, so all of the books and this one have this kind of forced proximity type of quirk as a plot device in the series. Also, I love that I made a mistake on, instead of writing the question mark, I did the slash. Don't mind me. So all of them have like a specific plot device that puts these two characters in a situation together in like forced proximity, and that kind of kicks off a relationship. So in the first one, we had like a classic fake dating where Stella and Luca were pretending to be together in order to try to win like a social media competition in a way. The second one doesn't have as much of this like forced proximity quirk, where it was, what's her name? Evelyn and Beckett. And Evelyn was kind of trying to find herself, distance herself from her current career because she wasn't sure if that's what she wanted to keep doing with her life. And it was yeah, so there wasn't as much in that one. There really wasn't like a forced proximity. She just needed somewhere to stay and he had a spare room. And then in this one, it was kind of fake dating. We didn't really land on if it is fake dating, where they're both trying to figure out what they've been doing wrong in relationships and trying to figure that out by dating each other. So how do we feel about that? Because I sometimes love like these kind of like scenarios or these like plot devices in books. I don't love it when like every single story has something that needs to like kick off the plot in that way. Sometimes it's nice for just two people to meet and for the story to go on from there. So yeah, let me know how you feel about those. Okay, and number 8, standout scenes. So I think my favorite scenes from the book were definitely in, I think like chapter 1 or 2, when the two of them run into each other in the bar outside of town, and Caleb is in a Hawaiian shirt specifically for a Margaritaville style party. I think that scene was hilarious and so much fun. And then there was also, I think the skating scene was fun when they were in the roller rink, and also the escape room scene. I thought that one was so much fun. Yeah. And also I've only ever done, I think it was one escape room I did with coworkers like many, many years ago. And that one was so much fun and so wild. So yeah, let me know what your standout scenes are. If you had similar ones, if you had totally different ones. Yeah. Okay, last of our discussion questions is Business Casual. So Business Casual is the fourth book in the series that's coming out. I still don't remember what day it is. It's either April, May, or June next year. It has a beautiful cover that I shared on my Instagram. And that one is about Charlie and Nova. So Charlie is the half-brother or stepbrother? Half-brother of Stella from the first book. And Nova is the sister of Beckett. Did I get that right? Yes, I think I got that right. Yeah, so no idea what the plot is going to be of this one. They have kind of like an opposites attract kind of situation, I think. And yeah, so I have no idea if this one is going to have a similar like plot device kind of forced proximity quirk as other books did, or what the situation is going to be. So I'm really intrigued, and I think that one should take place in fall because I think that's the only season that we're missing. Right? Yes, pretty sure. Yeah, so let me know if you're excited. I think we're definitely going to have to read it as a book club since we all read these three. And also for anyone who hasn't read these three books, if you wanted to read them before we read the fourth one, please be my guest. All of these lives will remain up, and you can always look at our past discussions and past comments on chapters on the Fable. If you just click on, there's like a little blue link that says past books next to the current book that we're reading. So you'll always be able to access all of our past commentary and thoughts on the previous books. So you can really read them whenever. You can always catch up on these lives whenever. They will be recorded and they will remain here. So you can always pop back in. And yeah, and if you don't want to read any of them, but you want to join us for the fourth one when it comes out next year, be my guest. So let's talk briefly about some similar romance recommendations if you really enjoyed these three books, or one of them, or all of them, or none of them. If you want to know similar books that I have read and that I personally recommend, now's our time to shine. Okay, I have a little stack. I hope I don't knock over everything else. Oh God. Okay, we got them. Okay, let's talk about some other kind of similar books. So we will be talking about our October book club pick really shortly, but before we do that, let's talk about some other books you can read if you really enjoyed any of these books. So first of all, we have The Switch by Beth O'Leary. So this has a similar small town cozy vibe as the Lovelight Farms books has. This takes place in England, and it's kind of like a dual perspective where one of the perspectives is a grandma and the other perspective is a young woman. And the two of them live completely separate lives, and they've both had some tough life things come up recently, and they both really just want a switch, a change. Oh, a switch. Okay. A change in their lives to start something fresh. So the young woman, she lives in London. Her grandma lives in like a quaint little small country town. And the two of them decide to switch lives completely. And it goes from there. So similar kind of like small town vibes. Very cute, very easy, fun read. Then we have two of my favorite books of all time. I love these books so much. If you've seen any of my recent like romance recommendations, these will be on there. So I love these. The first one is Part of Your World, which starts off with a woman whose car breaks down next to a small town, and she gets taken in for the night. And there's a guy, he owns a goat. He has like a small town bed and breakfast, and it has a similar community feel to Lovelight Farms. Yeah, and the two of them come from kind of opposite worlds. She comes from a really affluent family, and she works as a doctor in a hospital. He's an Airbnb owner. Super cute, very spicy, very good. Love. Then this is kind of the second one in the series. This is about her best friend, who you get to see a little bit in the first book. Neither of them needs to be read in a specific order, but this one takes a little bit more place. It takes a lot more place, actually, in the hospital setting. So definitely look up the content warnings, since there's a lot of like hospital themes going on, and the love interest has a lot of strong anxiety. So look those up, but this one is definitely my favorite. Very cute. And then we have these two, also take place in a small town, also like kind of part of a series. So this is a sapphic romance series. So in the first one, we have kind of like a big city girl coming into the small town to help with her stepsister's wedding. And then in this one, we have like a very organized kind of Virgo style woman who is trying to help her business take it off of the ground, and then it's kind of an enemies to lovers with a house renovation going on. So similar like small town community feels. Yeah, so those are the books I recommend that are kind of similar if you enjoyed Lovelight Farms and the different tropes that it brought. Now we get to the exciting part. So hang on, let's just move all of the stacks of books out of the way so we can properly talk about this. Okay, so the October book club pick. We have 4 options. We will only be selecting one. You can read all 4 if you want, but we will be discussing one of them, not all 4, as a book club, and we will be voting in the next few days, and then the winner of the vote will be announced right before October or right at the start of October, and that will be our book for October. We will just be reading one book in October. No worries, we won't go as wild as we did this month, but yes, so we have 4 options. I will be posting this on my YouTube, my Instagram, and on the Fable Book Club, so we can all vote on any of those platforms. If you want to rig the system, not saying you should, but if you feel particularly passionate about us reading one of these 4, you can vote on all platforms. I'm going to be tallying up the votes from all of them anyways. So let's talk about the picks. So we have 4 picks here. Let's see if I can focus this well. No? Okay, well, we have our 4 picks here. So first on the list is You Again by Kate Goldbeck. So this one is an enemies to lovers, opposites attract. It has bisexual rep, and it is classed as feel-good fiction. I have heard that this one is kind of a retelling of When Harry Met Sally. So yes. Then our second option is Enchanted to Meet You. So this has a fake dating trope, which we are very well familiar with. It has witches, it's kind of like a whimsical magical fiction, and it has plus-sized rep. Then number 3 is Cleat Cute by Meryl Wilsner. So this is a rivals or enemies to lovers story. It takes place during the World Cup, and it has soccer/football sports in it. It's like the main storytelling plot, and it is sapphic. And then number 4, we have The Long Game by Elena Armas, and this takes place in a small town, also similar to something we just read, and also has sports, soccer and football in it, and has goat yoga. I'm just saying, goat yoga. And the main like romance trope is that it's a grumpy and grumpy kind of romance duo. So those are our 4 picks, 4 options for the ultimate one book club pick. So feel free to vote down in the comments. Otherwise, you can head over to our Fable, which will have these options as well for you to vote for, or my Instagram, or do all of the above, whatever you feel like doing. And we will announce the book pick soon. So yeah. And with that, that is our live show for the Romantics Book Club for September and Mixed Signals. Thank you all so much for joining. Let me know what you're currently reading. Feel free to vote for the October book, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.